Welcome to another episode of our IELTS coaching. My name is Jude and I've been coaching and training students in English since 2007. In this video, I'll give you some tips which can help you pass your IELTS listening test. To give you a heads up, the IELTS listening test is the first sub-test that you need to take among the other written tests. You have to listen to the audio for 30 minutes and then you'll be given an extra 10 minutes for you to transfer your answers on the answer sheet. Note that the extra 10 minutes is only available in the listening subtest. In the listening test, you will get two sets of papers. One is the questionnaire and the other one is the answer sheet. You should not write anything on the answer sheet unless you're instructed to do so. On your questionnaire, you will see 40 questions, which is equivalent to 40 points. The test is divided into 4 sections with varying difficulties. The first section will be the easiest, and the 4th section is the hardest. You'll be able to hear a dialogue and a monologue. A dialogue is a conversation between 2 or more people, and a monologue is a speech made by only one person. Now, which do you think is more difficult to listen to? Is it dialogue or monologue? In this IELTS test, since the 4th section is a monologue, you will realize that a monologue is more difficult to listen to than that of the dialogue. Now let's go ahead with my first tip. Tip number 1. It's very important that you read and listen to the instruction before you start answering. Why? Because in the instruction, you'll be able to know whether 1, 2, or 3 words are allowed as an answer. There's a number of word requirement, so you need to know that before you start answering the questions. Tip number 2. You should be familiar of the words which have similar sounds. We call them as homonyms. The examples are see and see, break and break, buy and buy, 50 and 15, 40 and 14. Try to distinguish the sound and be able to get the answers correctly. Tip number 3. Tip number 3 is about your tenses. Be very careful when writing your verbs. It must follow the tense of the sentence written on the questionnaire. There are words that can help you identify the correct tense. For example, the words beginning, after, right after, prior, before, etc. Tip number 4. Watch out for the clues. We have the WWH question to look out for. What is for an object? Where is for a place? When is for a time? How is for process, how many is for countable nouns, and how much is for uncountable nouns. Tip number 5. Do not leave your answers in blank. Try to guess by looking at your clue. Tip number 6. Focus on the main question. Anticipate what you need to look for by underlining the important words on the question. Tip number 7, listen carefully and think fast. You might think that the conversation is fast. You need to practice how to understand what the speakers are trying to tell you without spending so much time trying to analyze the words. Write in capital letters. This is safer. Tip number 9. If the question requires you to write 2 answers, separate your answers with a comma. Do not use and or and. Do not use conjunction. Tip number 10. Try to distinguish the speaker's name and their accent so you won't get confused. Tip number 11. In questions involving clock time, you need to be familiar with the military time and how people from different countries would normally tell their time. For example, 10:15. We can say this in two ways. It's either 10:15 or 10:15. How about this? It's either 12:30 or 12:30. Tip number 12. This is my final tip. Practice every day. This is the best thing you can do if you really want to ace your IELTS listening test. Watch out for our next videos relating to IELTS. If you need coaching, don't hesitate to send us a message right here on this email. See ya!